We'll transition into our weekly segment. Good morning, T-Boz.
Good morning, Mr. Williams. And it's Friday Eve. And yes, come up to the northwest corner. The colors are amazing. Take that from someone who doesn't see well. Anyway, good morning, Jock. Thanks for having me on the show. Boys and girls, we have a spectacular today. I've done something very different. Come on in, come on in. Wow, there's holy cow. Where do all you people come from? Well, Southern Connecticut. All right, come on, come on. Got plenty of chairs. George is more in the back there. Good. So, anyway, everyone, I'm so excited. I don't know what I'm talking about, Mr. Williams. But I'm doing something different today. We've done a lot of heavy topics since the winter. And compassion, I got a lot of comments on that. Thank you, everyone, for listening and your comments. But I've been so brought into baseball by Lady Diana. She's a big Mets fan. And so we've been watching the playoffs on both the American League and the National League. So T-Boz, with inspiration from above, said, you know what? We're going to do a different show today. And so what we're going to do today is baseball. What? Well, wait till you see what I have planned. What I've done is I've taken many different types of baseball players from many different eras of baseball and used their quotes to do a multi-topic theme. I'm going to pull out little lessons from each of their quotes. And so we don't have our popular scripture votes today or famous people, but we do have a bunch of great ball players. And, of course, the great Yogi Berra. We have some of his little funny quotes that we're going to sprinkle in here and there. But before we get to all of that, yep, there's room. Come on. Before we get to all of that, let's go over to the dugout to Stan, the coffee man, over here by the refreshment table. And Stan, what do we have in the coffee pots? We got 2 pots today. We have outfield roast, very clever, and infield decaf. Oh, amazing. And then we have buttered rolls, bagels, and, can you get a camera in on this? Look at this. We have peanuts, popcorn, and boxes of Cracker Jacks. Wow. Very good, Stan. Thanks for, making our theme work. Are you a baseball fan, Stan? You don't care. Okay. George? Yankee fan. There you go. I think you're there with Mr. Williams. And the sponsor for our refreshment table today is none other than Kelly's Crystals, 83 Main Street, downtown. Christmas is coming. All of you guys, you want to find something so your girl will love you and love you and love you. Go to Kelly's Crystals. Great staff down there. Used to go there and pick up little things, and it's still a great place. They even expanded to a jewelry store. So check them out. All right. Let's get to our theme or topic or whatever you want to call this. I mean, can you tell I'm excited, Jock? Let's do some fun facts before we start. All right, where do these baseball teams get their name? That's the first thing. So let's start with the Guardians, used to be the Cleveland Indians. They got their name because there are 8 traffic statues outside of their ball field on Memorial Highway and Memorial Bridge, and so they are Guardians, and so they changed the name to the Cleveland Guardians. So that's where they got their name. The Mets, where do you hear this? The Mets got their name from a fan contest. When William Shea decided to expand the league, he put out a contest, and one of the fans went back. Believe it or not, there was a baseball team in 1880 called the New York Metropolitans. And they operated from 1880 to 1887. So the fan thought that this would be a great name. They shortened Metropolitan to Mets, and so that's where the Mets get their name from, and they've been around since 1880. And my friend Jim and Keith are very big Mets fans, and they attended all of those games. Let's look at the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees in 1901 were the Baltimore Orioles, not the same team that's today. And so the team went defunct. 2 New York businessmen, one of them, the last name was Farrell. They bought the team, moved it to New York in 1903, and called it the New York Highlanders. But a writer, a sports writer named Joseph Price, he thought Highlanders was too long, so he put the word Yanks in the articles that he wrote about the team, and then the name Yankees, and so they adopted that name in 1913. So there you go with that. But here's the funniest one, and my little big sister Barbara's going to love this. The Dodgers, which were the Brooklyn Dodgers, moved out to Los Angeles mid-50s, I believe. I wasn't born yet. But the Dodgers got their name from the fact that the people in Brooklyn were very good at dodging and evading city cars, which are trolleys, running around Brooklyn. So they would call the Brooklynites Brooklyn Dodgers. So the team adopted that name, Brooklyn Dodgers, in 1932, and they kept the name Dodgers when they moved out to Los Angeles. So some really fun facts there, how the teams got their names. And here's some World Series facts, and then we'll get into the quotes. The third highest ranking team of World Series is the Boston Red Sox. They have 8. The St. Louis Cardinals are above them in second place. They have 11 World Series championships. And the New York Yankees, the most winning franchise in all of sports history, only there's a hockey team, I forget, is right behind them. But the New York Yankees have 27 World Series championships. It's a feat that I don't know if the other two will catch up. But you can debate the Yankees back and forth, but they are the most winning franchise in all of sports history. So there's some fun facts. Let's get started with the program. We're going to start off with my Italian paisano, Yogi Berra, whose real name was Lawrence Peter Berra. And he always says, it ain't over till it's over, right? And we're going to extrapolate on that. We're going to take that. We're going to say some of us in the room, some of you sitting down in front, we say, I'm 65, I'm 70, I'm 75, I'm 80. It ain't over till it's over, boys and girls. You have gifts, you have talents, you have things you yet to do if you still have a pulse. So like Yogi says, it ain't over till it's over. I really tire sometimes when I hear some of my friends and relatives, and they'll say, well, I used to do this and I used to do that. You know what? If you got a pulse, if you have life in front of you, if you're alive, it ain't over till it's over. So try some new things, start new relationships, make new friends, take on new activities, because it ain't over till it's over. The great Tug McGraw, who was the father of Tim McGraw, played for the Mets from 1964 to 1974. And, of course, his great chant, you gotta believe. And everyone remembers that. And isn't that right? Don't we have to believe? If we're gonna ain't over till it's over, then we got to believe. Whether you want to believe in faith, you want to believe in yourself, you want to believe in your family, you want to believe in yourself. You got to have that core that McGraw talks about, that feeling of something bigger than you, something that's powering you, something that's moving you forward. So you got to believe. You got to believe. Alex Rodriguez says this: baseball is a game of failure. It's about how you respond to it is what matters. So Rodriguez says, baseball, like life, there's failure, right? We all have failure. But how we respond to it. I was dealt a blow when I was, 29 years old. The doctor said to me, you'll be totally blind. Okay? I drove until I was 40. I had to give up my license, right? Another failure. Can't drive. But it's how I respond to it. I don't let it get me down. I still take care of the yard. Everyone knows about my dancing, the square dancing, the swing dancing. So Rodriguez says there's going to be failure, but how do we respond to it? Do we give up? Do we throw in the towel? Because what does Yogi say? It ain't over till it's over. We look at the great Jackie Robinson, and he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers, 1947 1956, crossed the color line, and he says, I'm not concerned about your likes and dislikes. All I ask is that you see me and treat me like a human being. Bing, bang, boom. And Jackie's advice then applies today. It almost ties in and does tie in to our topic last week, the program on compassion. In other words, I'm not concerned about your likes or dislikes, but it's how you treat me. So how do we treat others, right? the golden rule. Do as to others as you want them to do to you. How do we treat others? Do we treat them with respect? Do we look past their likes or dislikes, the color of their skin, the way they vote, where they live, the car they drive, the clothes they wear? Do we see the people as God sees people, as creation? And so Jackie Robinson gives us tremendous advice then and is applicable now. We look at Yogi Berra, and he has another funny quote, and he says, "You can observe a lot by just watching." As funny as that sounds, how are people observing us? How are people observing us? Are we like the people that Jackie Robinson was talking to? If we're saying that we're Christian, or we're saying that we're American, or we're saying that we're agnostic, or atheist, or Torringtonites, whatever we say we are we living up to what we're talking about? Are we walking the walk and talking the talk? Or are we just faking it? So you can observe a lot. Not only us watching them, but what about people watching us? And I would say, I would hope that everyone in this room, people listening on the radio, via stream, and those of you via Zoom, are the kind of people that people watch and look up to. Jim Abbott, the great one-handed baseball pitcher for the California Angels, 89 to 99 he played. He says this: never, not sometimes, never allow your circumstances, and I know a lot of you are dealing with circumstances, never allow your circumstances to become an excuse. Some people will allow you to do that. I believe, Jim Abbott says, I believe we have an obligation to use the abilities we have, bing, bang, bing, boom, out of the park. To use the abilities we have. Everyone in this room, we talk about this week after week, is unique. I have ability. No, I can't drive a car, and I'm not going to be a fireman. But I have the ability to dance. I have the ability to speak. I have the ability to touch lives. God has given me this gift. I use it. Here's a guy that pitched Major League Baseball with one hand. Remember how he used to throw the ball and take the glove, put it under his arm, and then he could have said years ago, forget it, right? But he went on and played 10 years in the majors. You know, boys and girls, there's only 600 individuals each year that play Major League Baseball. And consider how many people there are in the world, in the United States anyway, right? And this guy has one hand, and he became a champ. So what's your excuse? What's stopping you? What one-handedness is keeping you and me and Jock and George and Stan and everyone else talking about? Who's keeping you from making the majors? From making the majors. So we like Jim Abbott for that. Mike Piazza played for the Mets from 98 to 2000. He says, nobody wanted me. Scouts told me to go to school. Coaches told me you're never going to make it. And he said, what you have to do is use that as your fuel for your own motivation. Boom, boom. People are going to tell us no. People are going to tell us we're too tall. People are going to tell us a lot of things. But like Mike Piazza, that negativity was his fuel, and his fuel to become a great baseball player. So people are going to tell us along the way, even as we get older. A lot of the people listening to the show are over 50, and people are going to tell, oh, you're crazy to buy that house. Oh, you're crazy to move over there. You're crazy to start that business. Let that, as Mike says, let that be your fuel. Why? Because it ain't over. Say it with me till it's over. You got to believe. You got to believe. Here's another Yogi Berra one. I love this. You say I'm ugly, but I never saw anyone hit with his face. And that goes right back to what Mike Piazza says. Labeling people. You say I'm ugly, but I never saw anybody hit with his face. And Yogi was a great, great hitter, was MVP 3 times, led the Yankees out of 14 World Series. He led them to 10 championships, and he was the MVP in 51, 54, and 55. So I guess his face didn't matter. So, again, what are you saying that people are saying about you that you think that you can't do something, that you can't hit? No one hits with their face. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, that you are not something, that you are not spiritual enough, that you are not smart enough, that you are not fast enough, that you are not happy enough, that you can't sing. Don't let anyone ever take that away because of Tugger McGraw says you got to believe. Where are we on time? We can keep rolling. You know what? It's 11:30, Jock. Why don't we take the seventh inning stretch, and then we'll get back to it.
Absolutely. And we want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for allowing us to bring you the quality community radio programming that we're doing at this particular time. We also want to invite each and every one of you to participate in this community experiment, local community radio, volunteer operated, listener supported. And each and every Thursday, you have an opportunity to do so on our local and live segment where you can call in, let us know what you're doing about your business, and we'll be more than happy to help you get that out to the community. So we thank T-Boz and his contributions to the station, and we also want to thank you all for continuing to listen. So with that said, we'll return the floor back over to T-Boz for more words of wisdom and moments of meditation.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ken Griffey Jr., and he played for the Mariners, was center fielder. He says this: to make it in baseball, as in life, you must make some adjustments. And we've been talking about this all morning. I had to make adjustments, right? Let me explain something. Everyone in life is disabled, okay? Everyone in life is disabled. Mine is outward. But all of us, as we age, as we grow, it's not what you get through, it's what you grow through. I talked about that on a previous show. We all have to make adjustments. You can't live the old life. You can't live the old life the new way. I've said that for years. A lot of us, our lives are changing. People are not in our lives anymore. They were in our lives. Income has changed. We're not in the same town. The grandchildren are older. The daughter moved away. Okay? You can't live the new life the old way. The problem a lot of us have is we're clinging to the old way. This is the way I always was, and I don't want to change. It doesn't go that way. I have a new life again. I love it. I met a woman I put on Facebook. I don't have to dream anymore because when I'm with her, I'm in the dream. I had to make adjustments, thankfully so, and I adjusted very well. Why? Because it ain't over till it's over. We look down at our next, this quote I love. Pete Rose, the Cincinnati great Red from 1963 to 1986. He played probably one of the longest careers. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. As a player, maybe not as a manager. You guys could discuss that when we're having all these desserts over here. But Pete Rose says this: I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit just to play baseball. Bing, bang, boom. You know what Pete Rose is talking about? Passion. I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit to play baseball. What do you want to play? When are you going to put the gasoline suit on and walk through hell for something that you want to do, someone you want to marry, some change you want to do, some activity you would like to do, some book you want to read, some class you want to take, some new skill you want to do? What gasoline suit are you willing to wear and walk through hell because of that passion that burns inside of you? That's what Pete Rose is talking about. Do we have that passion for things in life? Do we have that desire that no matter what happens, no matter what comes our way, we want to walk through hell in a gasoline suit? The great Babe Ruth, 1920, 1934, the house that Ruth built, it's not there anymore, but they have the new Yankee Stadium. It says, never let the fear of strikeouts keep you from playing the game. Boom. And you realize that he had, well, I think Hank Aaron holds the record out, but he had the most home runs. He also had the most strikeouts. So he wasn't afraid of striking out. So, again, fear, even at our ages, even though some of you have comfortable retirements, you're still afraid of things. You're still worrying about things, which is a total waste of time because, like we said on another show, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. You do a lot, but you don't go anywhere. So what are you letting you stop you from playing the game? What is stopping you from taking that trip? What is stopping you from creating a new relationship with someone, creating some new friends? Don't let the fear of strikeouts keep you from the game. Brooks Robinson, the great third baser with the Orioles, says if you're not practicing, somebody else, if you're not practicing, there is somebody else who is ready to take your job. If you're not practicing, if you're not putting time into the people you love, not that they're going to take, if you're not putting time into that grandson or daughter or making that phone call, we talked about compassion. He's talking about practicing baseball, but we could take Brooks's words and turn them around. If you're not practicing, somebody else is. So be diligent in your relationships. Be diligent in your careers. Be diligent in your community. Like all the people on WAPJ, they give up their time. There's a great show on Saturday afternoon. They have rap music. It's not my era, but they're two young people volunteering their time at 2 o'clock on a Saturday to give back to the community. They're practicing. And if they weren't doing it, someone else would take it. So we're lucky to have them on WAPJ. Derek Jeter played his whole career with the Yankees, 5 World Series rings. He's only 50 years old today, played from 96 to 2014. There may be others with more talent than you, but there is no excuse for anyone to work harder than you. Bing, bang, boom. I don't have a lot of talent. People say, oh, you're gifted. I do believe this is a gift from God, but I do. But I work at this. To put this program on every week, there's 8 hours of prep work before Jock introduces me to all of you. 8 hours. When I square dance, I'm a good square dancer. I'm the only one that has to practice Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursdays. Because as my vision decreases, the game gets harder. But I don't have, as the babe says, fear of striking out. I'll dance until they kick me out. But I have to practice because I can't see like everybody else. But I'm not going to quit. It ain't over till it's over. Got to believe. Circumstances, Rodriguez. So I practice again and again and again so I can stay in the game, so that I can play, so I don't let that get in the way of what I want to do. So Jeter's right. You know, some people have more talent. Some people could probably do a radio program like this in 5 minutes with an iPad. I can't. But no one's going to work harder than me. Nolan Ryan, and he played with the Mets 66 to 71. I love this quote. The beautiful thing about baseball is once in a while you come into a situation where you have to reach down and prove something. Wow. You have to reach down and prove something. And a lot of you have been following me since the winter. I reached down and I proved something, that no one's going to take my life or my heart or my spirit away from me. Boom. Because of that diligence, that faith, on May 26th, my cell phone didn't connect. And a dream walked into my life, and that dream is named Diana. Once in a while, boys and girls, you got to reach down. You got to go back to when you were a kid, to when you were a teenager, to when you took a walk with your grandfather. You got to reach down, and you got to prove something. It's a great, great quote by the great Nolan Ryan. Sandy Koufax. Now, here's a funny kind of quote. Sandy Koufax, and you're going to say, T-Boz, how are you going to turn this around? Pitching, he says, is the art of instilling fear. Sandy Koufax, a great pitcher with the Dodgers, okay? The art of instilling fear. Now, you're going to say, that's kind of weird, Boz. It's supposed to be a positive show. You know what we have to instill fear in? We have to be that self-confident that we put fear into our own self-doubts. That's what I'm doing with Sandy Koufax's quote. He was talking about a batter. I'm talking about ourselves. Pitching is the art of instilling fear. We have to pitch to our own self-doubt, our own poor self-image, our own lack of self-confidence, and throw that strike so doubt is out. Doubt is out. 3 strikes, no balls. He's out. That's what we're talking about here. That's what I see in Sandy Koufax's quote. Instill fear into our own self-doubt, the things that are keeping us from moving on, growing on, living our life, as Jesus says, I came to give life and give it abundantly. Hank Aaron, the great Atlanta Braves, he says, you may not think you're going to make it, okay? But if you keep your eye on the ball and don't quit, we talked about quitting, you can accomplish anything. Keep your eye on the ball, boys and girls. Keep the eye on your dream. Don't let doubt get you. Like Babe Ruth says, don't be afraid of striking out. Keep your eye on the ball. Your dream, your goals, time with your wives. Some of you are getting older. We got more behind us, boys and girls, most of us in this room, than we have ahead of us. Take the time with the people you love. Spend the time with the people you love. Turn the cell phone off. The customers won't go away. Sammy Sosa played with the Cubs. I had a friend years ago. He used to call him, I love the Cubbies, from 92 to 04. This is great advice for every day. If you have a bad day in baseball, okay, if you have a bad day in baseball and you start thinking about it, you will have 10 more. Bing, bang, boom. So a lot of us are dragging our knuckles on the ground because we had a bad day. Remember that song? I had a bad day. And if you keep thinking about the bad day, what he's talking about, what Sammy's talking about is positive attitude. If you keep thinking about and dragging your knuckles on the floor about the things you should have, would have, could have, didn't do, you're going to have 10 more. But if you pick your head up, you get around the people you love, you get around some people who believe in you, got to believe, right? Doug McGraw, then you won't have the 10 bad days. Ted Williams, the great Ted Williams with the Red Sox, played from 39 to 1960. Most of these guys have 20-year careers. Baseball is the only field of endeavor where a man can succeed 3 times out of 10 and be considered a great performer. Imagine that. You can fail 70% of the time and still be considered a great performer like the great Ted Williams. So a lot of us, or even myself, we're looking at that 70%, the 7 times we didn't do something. But it ain't over till it's over. You got to believe. Why don't we start looking at the 3%, okay, and start looking at the 30% of what we did do? You'd be surprised when you look back over your life. You say, gee whiz, I really accomplished something. I really did something. I made a difference in someone's life. Let's focus on the 30%, like the great Ted Williams says. Keith Hernandez. Why did I use this? Here's Keith Hernandez, Mr. Soft Hands, the first baseman for the New York Mets, 83 to 89. He had such a technique with his foot, they said, by the foul line that no one could ever, he would tag people out like crazy. But anyway, Keith Hernandez says this, I'm Keith Hernandez. That's self-confidence. Do we in this room say, I'm Barbara, I'm Stan, I'm George, I'm Alicia, I'm Steven, I'm Lynn, I'm Tommy, I'm Diana, I'm Karen, I'm Lucille? Do we feel that good about ourselves? I'm Keith Hernandez. In other words, yeah, that's what we have to think about. That's how we have to feel. Going back to Mike Piazza, let that be the fuel for your motivation. So we need to walk into a room. We need to get up in the morning, look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm Keith Hernandez. But you know what I'm saying. Ricky Henderson played with the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets. He played with all 3 teams that are in the playoffs. If my uniform does not get dirty, I haven't done anything in the game of baseball. Wow. His uniform doesn't get dirty. What does that mean? You got to get in there, boys and girls. You want things to happen, you got to slide into second base. You want things to happen, you got to run to the warning track. You want things to happen, you got to swing at a pitch and hopefully you hit it. You got to get in there. You know, when Jock offered me this opportunity 3.5 years ago, I didn't have a clue. You think it was all like this? No. But Jock said, Boz, you make the mess and we'll clean it up. And 3.5 years later, we have a huge following. People listening to us all the way down to South Carolina and Florida, all the way up to Maine, and I don't know how far out west we go. I get calls all the time, people saying, you know, I've learned more about Scripture and have more belief in the Bible listening to you. It's not about me. It's a gift from God. But listening to you, T-Boz, than I ever did before. So you got to get some dirt on you. You got to have the smell of smoke on you if you want something to happen. You know, things don't come down a chimney. The only person comes down a chimney is Santa Claus. If you want things to happen, get some dirt on you. Let's just do this real quick, Yogi Berra, funny quote. You would not have won if we had beaten you. You would not have won if we had beaten you. So think of that one. But so true. You know, we would not have won if we had beaten you. Don't let the other team think that they got you. You know, sometimes we let our guard down. We don't play as hard, and sometimes we lose at certain things. But as all these guys are telling us, we can come back. The great Mickey Mantle, 3-time MVP, played with the Yankees from 51 to 68, 17 years. And he says, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Boom. A lot of us in this room, we have stuff happens. But let's start taking better care of ourselves, right? Life is long today. With medical advances, we can live long and prosperous lives. So let's start taking care of ourselves. Let's watch what we eat. Let's cut the smoking. Let's cut back on the drinking a little bit. Right? Let's get some exercise. Let's spend time with the people that we love, the people that we married. We didn't marry them just so they can sit there and have a cup of coffee with us at the end of the day. Do something with them. Spend time with that grandson. I'm going to have my daughter here in a little while with the 2 grandsons and my brother and sister-in-law coming up. You know, phone's off the hook. I'm going to spend some time because I'm 67 years old. I got more innings behind me than I have ahead of me. You got to realize that. So let's listen to what the mix says and take good care of ourselves. The takeaway is going to be by the great Yankee Clipper Joe DiMaggio. That name was given to him by the announcer Arch McDonald, and said that when DiMaggio played and was out in the outfield, he looked like an airplane. He was so quick, the way he ran around the bases and the way he would catch the ball. So he nicknamed him the Yankee Clipper. The amazing thing about DiMaggio, he was on the championship teams 36, 1937, 1938, 1931, 1941, 1947, 1949, 1950, and 1951. The great Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper. What a player, what a man. They called him Gentleman Joe. They even put his name in a song, right? He was married to Marilyn Monroe, but for a little while. But here's what the great Yankee Clipper tells us. A person doing his or her personal best. Sounds like our motto here. Be yourself, everyone is taken. A person doing his personal best, not someone else's best, his personal best or her personal best, becomes a natural leader just by example. Bing, bang, boom. We all want to become natural leaders. We all want to become winners. Just what Yogi said. You can observe someone by watching. That's exactly what his fellow teammate said. We want to be leaders. Do your personal best. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Don't let someone tell you no, like Mike Piazza didn't let someone tell him no. Let's respect other people, like Jackie Robertson told us. Let's have passion and put on a gasoline suit, okay? Let's instill fear in our own self-doubt. Let us, not worry about striking out. Let us do the work that Derek Jeter said. Let us have the self-confidence that Keith Hernandez has, all right? And let us take care of ourselves, like Mickey Mantle says. And then we'll end up like Joe DiMaggio saying a person become a natural leader by doing their personal best. Do the things that God has gifted you for. If some of you are having a hard time succeeding in relationships and business and whatever, you're trying to be somebody else. Be your own first baseman, okay? Be the player that the coach calls up and says, all right, John, all right, Jock, all right, Holly, all right, Miles, come on up. Go play first base. So with that, get out and enjoy the foliage. Check some of these games out, boys and girls. They got guys playing with broken fingers, and they bring in pitchers for every hitter. It's really great physical acuity. Watch some of these games. Enjoy the boys this summer. I will not be here next week. I have an engagement. I'll be out of town, so I won't be here. And then I'll let you know about the week after, which is Halloween. So be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Jock will be over to talk baseball. There's plenty of Cracker Jacks. Dan, thank you for all of that. Kelly's Crystals, thank you. And George by the door, the Yankee guy. Oh, he's got a Yankee hat on too now. Thank you. All right, Jock, play the song.